high-speed network. Then went beyond the reliability you expect, to knowing that if the power goes out, business goes on. Comcast Business, beyond fast.
Notre Dame's Tommy Sheehan was stellar. He pitched his first career complete game, limiting the Tigers to 7 hits and just 2 runs in a 9-2 Notre Dame victory. Then on Saturday, Game 2 of our weekend series, and it was a Clemson lefty, Matt Clark, who was impressive. 7 strikeouts, a career high, and a career best 7 innings pitched. He went on to his 4th win of the season, leading the team in that regard, and got some great defense behind him. Kier Meredith going high over the wall and pulling back a would-be homer off the bat of Eric Gilgenbach. And so today, the rubber match. What emotions will we see on St. Patrick's Day here at Doug Kingsmore? The Tigers and Fighting Irish coming up next. It's the ACC on ESPN. A chilly day here at Doug Kingsmore, but otherwise a beautiful day for baseball. The final game of the second ACC series of the year for both these teams, the number 20 Clemson Tigers and the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame. Hi, friends, and welcome in. Along with Will Qualkenbush, Pete Yannity with you, getting ready for the rubber match. And really on Saturday, Tigers did a nice job bouncing back from a ball game Friday night that was ugly at times.
Yeah, Friday night, the second inning really got away from Clemson. Saturday, we saw the antithesis of that, where Notre Dame had an ugly second inning. And we'll see which team can avoid that ugly inning. I have a feeling that team might be the one that wins the series today. We'll
see a freshman lefty take the hill for Clemson today, a junior righty for Notre Dame. Those two guys had some pretty good examples set for them the past 2 ball games.
And you're right. Tommy Sheehan, on the one hand, he was able to induce 3 double play balls. Clemson only ground into 4 all season. Coming up to Friday, able to pitch a complete game, 4 strikeouts, very effective. And then Matt Clark yesterday as well, Pete, an outstanding outing for a guy who was in the bullpen just 2 weeks ago. A career-high 7 innings, career-high 7 strikeouts. Brilliant in Clemson getting to that, evening up the series rather at 1 game apiece.
Give you our starting lineups for a Notre Dame team that, yes, on St. Patrick's Day, very appropriately dressed in all green. Spencer Myers, who was removed on a coach's decision in the middle of the game on Saturday. Once again, leading things off. Jung went 1 for 4 in the ball game Saturday. Carter Putz, the DH, hits third. Gilgenbach robbed of that home run, the cleanup batter. David LaMotta in the 5 slot. Behind the plate, Cavadis, Coetzee, Miller, and Copeland round out the starting lineup. Coetzee, the freshman, making his 5th straight start, bouncing back from some health issues earlier in the year, trying to be a big factor for Mick Aoki's team, which on the season comes in at 7-10. They're 3-2 in the ACC. And all time in this ballpark, a Notre Dame ball club that has a 4-5 record against the Clemson team. Defensively, Chad Ferry getting a start in left field today. First time we've seen him in the series. Teodosio and Mikowski round out the outfield. The infield, a similar look to yesterday with Bird, Davidson, Hall, and Hawkins at first. Matt Clark, great job yesterday for the Tigers from the left side. And maybe this guy, Keyshawn Askew, the freshman, making his 2nd career Sunday start after doing a good job against North Carolina last week. With Kyle Wilkie, the veteran, you see him there behind the plate. And a 1-2 count on Spencer Myers, the sophomore out of Tampa. 1 for 6 in the series with a run scored. He went 0 for 2 yesterday before he was removed. Keyshawn Askew, fellow who really made his mark early on in the midweek starts. Monty Lee telling me before the game that he thought maybe a bullpen assignment most of the year for him, but he simply used his ability to get himself into the weekend rotation. Davidson on to first for out number 1.
I think you see it. I mean, they're basically splitting the field in half. You've got maybe 1 or 2 steps for the second baseman, 1 or 2 for the shortstop. That's about all the shifting that you'll see from Mick Aoki.
Mick Aoki telling us the other day that he feels like his program uses their analytics about as well as any team in this conference. The veteran head coach, been at the helm of Notre Dame for nearly a decade, and they actually have an analytics club on the Notre Dame campus. We hear their Christmas parties are a real hoot, but one of the students is their guy who crunches the numbers and does a fabulous job. The strikeout to end the inning, 3 up, 3 down for Junker in the bottom half of the first inning. Bird went down to get it. Notre Dame able to hold the Tigers at bay through 1 inning. We are scoreless in the rubber game. Scoreless as we head to the second. That looks really, really good. We're thinking those are bratwursts, not just your standard hot dog at the ball game.
Incredible. I guess a little German cuisine on St. Patty's Day. Just get the full cultural experience here at the ballpark.
Transcending Europe. And various fare, but as we see, some dressed in their tiger orange, some dressed in their traditional green, and some dressed in their tiger green at the ballpark today. Nice turnout. And again, a little bit of a chilly day, but with the sun brightly shining down in the stands, feels just fine. Interesting series so far for Nico Cavadas, who was thrown out at the plate in the ball game early on Saturday, and that kind of set a tone. Bo Mikowski, a nice throw from right, the shift on for the sophomore out of Granger, Indiana, who is second on their team with 5 home runs this season. He has struck out 19 times, and a 2-0 pitch in for a strike from Askew, who worked out of that bases-loaded 1-out jam in the first.
Oh, comeback fastball. I think the catcher, Kyle Wilkie, got him that call. That was a good frame on the outside corner.
Ripped right center field, high and deep. Teodosio giving chase. So is Mikowski. And that one's out of here. 6th home run of the season for Cavadas. 2nd homer in the series for the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, a team that came in having hit just 12 home runs in their first 17 games. But, well, like the other night, they take the early advantage.
Cavadas' first plate appearances have been really good. He hit a hard ground ball on Friday, singled, and was thrown out the play yesterday, and then he put a good rip on an elevated fastball just above the belt. And that's why you shift him right there, because even when the ball's middle away, he's got great power to his pull side, 6 feet 240. And that's a guy, we talked about asking you need to get in the weight room. This guy doesn't need the weight room.
And the 240 might have been taken before the latest wave of buffets and so forth kicked in, as that's the 2nd home run given up on this season and in his career by Askew. So the Tigers again looking up at a deficit, and this neck of the woods familiar to him. He's from Marietta, Georgia. That one getting by Wilkie, recovers, throws, tag, out. Coetzee got a late jump, didn't read it well, and a great reaction by Wilkie. And that'll do it for Notre Dame here in the 4th inning. Score at 2-5 on the caught stealing. Sometimes wild pitches work out just fine. Nice throw. And the glove waiting as Coetzee arrived at 3rd. Notre Dame with a hit in the inning, but nothing to show for it. The 2-out double by Coetzee. He's later taken out at 3rd. We played 3.5 on a Sunday at Doug Kingsmore in a 1-0 game.
Where the more balls you can get to, it may override fielding percentage to some degree. And a guy like Logan, you see him right there, because he gets to so many balls on both sides of him, he's able to become a little bit better prospect.
Teodosio over, runner being sent. There will be no throw, and Cavadas has both RBIs for Notre Dame. They take a 2-0 lead here in the 6th. And Tigers down 2-0, and a big swing right here would tie or put Clemson in front.
You still got some action down there in the bullpen, but if you look at what's coming up, a lot of righties after this. Wouldn't be surprised if this is the last batter that Vail faces, no matter what happens here.
And a hard shot. Fair ball down the right field line. Green scores easily. Davidson will be waived. Tigers are going to tie it up. Grayson Bird into 2nd with a 2-run double that evens things up in the 8th inning at 2 apiece.
You see there, Monty Lee very emotional out there at home plate. You normally don't see him quite that emotional, but this is a great piece of hitting by Grayson Bird. Talked a lot about early in the ballgame about him going the other way. That was a pitch in the middle of the plate, and he ripped it to the pull side. And Davidson running from first. He's going to score on a double. Monty Lee, the first one to meet him out there. He's fired up. Also, Grayson goes down to a knee on that swing. That's how much torque he got on that ball. Let's see if we can stay on him. Emotional right there. Clap of the hands, looking into the dugout. And now as Notre Dame is contemplating a change, I'll tell you what, all of a sudden the energy in the ballpark changes, Pete, when you get one base hit like that from a veteran player. It goes without saying, this is a critical pitch here. Probably shouldn't have said it then. We're past that point now.
Well, Squibber going to be tough for Davidson to simply get 1 out, and the ball underneath the glove. 1 run scores. Bases remain loaded. Hawkins on a low throw had that scored under his glove at first, and Notre Dame moves back in front 3-2. See how they scored.
This might actually be a situation where you hang your head a little bit defensively because you know you can't get the double play and you know you can't get the out at home. Looked like Davidson short-armed it a little bit to first, and we're going to call an E3 because Hawkins probably still should have caught it. But you do wonder if that played into it a little bit. You're trying to get the double play or you're trying to get the out at home. You can't get either one, and so you kind of just relax and hang your head a little bit on that play.
Switch in the ninth inning at second base, so he's not gotten up to the plate. Chance to work out of this thing with just the one run scored. And that could be just what they need. A second for one. High throw to first. Out. 6-4-3 on the double play. Miller says, take a look. He thinks that he was coming across the bag while Hawkins may have had his foot raised off of it. I'm going to stay right here. And if you can see right at the end of that shot, the body language by Hawkins, he seemed to be upset probably about the mishandle of the previous throw. Looks like he kept his foot on the bag and did a nice job here to get the final out. Now, of course, Miller could be arguing that he beat the throw.
And I think he did beat the throw, Pete, by just a fraction of a second.
We'll wait for the official word from our umpires. It would be a 12th RBI on the season and a 4th in the series for the shortstop Miller, who's playing back close to his hometown of Marietta, Georgia, and had a good weekend series. Let's see what the call is. Very big one indeed upcoming, and safe at first, so just the out at second. Another run comes home as Lamanna scored. That makes it 4-2. Behind the count, 1-2.
And that's how you beat freshmen right there. You start one at the knees and then break it off down. I would be shocked if we didn't see another one of those from Mejias. And from Clemson's standpoint, Hackenberg's got to lay off of that. Sit on a fastball here.
Shortstop Miller, second base, and that'll do it. And the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, after seeing the Tigers tie him up in the 8th inning, come up with 2 in the top half of this 10th, and then work out of a jam to preserve the victory and get the series win, taking 2 out of 3, and the team wearing all green on St. Patrick's Day with a shamrock on their caps, able to win it 4-2 in 10.
A ground ball there to short and a good turn because he give Hawkins a lot of credit. He was busting it. That should have been an easy play. He made it difficult out at second base. We talked about in the open, Pete, that the team that could avoid the blow-up inning where things just went awry was probably going to win. That happened for Notre Dame back in the 10th offensively where they got a couple of runs. Tigers with some adventurous plays in the field. You give Notre Dame a lot of credit. Pitching and defense won the series for them this weekend.
Each team now 4-2 in the ACC. The Tigers falling to 14-5 overall. Notre Dame improves to 8-10. The Irish now go home for a stretch of games for the first time this season. Tigers about to venture on a long stretch of games away from Doug Kingsmore Stadium. Will, been a pleasure being alongside of you today. And for Will Qualkenbush and our fine crew, Pete Hannity wishing you a happy St. Patrick's Day. Saying so long, Tigers fall 4-2. This has been a presentation of ESPN.